So I really get a lot of how they were treated.
Right.
The treatment of them was like conditions that we can't even imagine, even by today's standards, even for today's homeless, even for people who are lost today. It's unimaginable with what they went through. There was no dignity in their death. There was like they didn't matter. They were lost souls. I also feel, and I know the medical treatment back then was not what we have today, but I feel like there was a huge run of lung-related TB, pneumonias that had like death by the large numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I also feel what's really interesting is I feel that the spirits that are here connect to the spirits in that nursing home. I can see the people, they kind of divided themselves for me. So the people that died in the nursing home are kind of standing towards that way, and the people who are buried here are kind of standing out here. But I do pick up on a lady who was separated from her child.
Right.
And I think that when she came here, either her child was taken away, because I see the child standing with another family. Mm-hmm. And I see that separation, and it took her, even in her passing, a long time to kind of reconnect and heal that
right.
She lost that. But I'm also really pushed to the buildings over there. I feel that there are bodies buried either underneath that mall or around these buildings somewhere. Do I feel forgotten? Yeah. I also feel that there's no honor for these bodies anywhere in this city.
Right.
Like I don't feel there's a monument. I don't feel that there's a space that they have been honored. But there is a doctor that hangs out here.
Yeah.
And I feel that he is here by choice, but that choice is almost like to make amends for what he did, because he feels guilty for holding back treatment. There was also a big syphilis. I'm hearing that there was a big syphilis outbreak that connects to a lot of people that died here as well. But he's been trying to make amends, working with the staff in this nursing home.
Interesting.
And helping the staff in this nursing home with like care issues and staffing issues and treatment stuff. It's almost like his soul or his spirit has been hanging out here for all these years, in helping with the people that didn't cross right away. I pick up that a lot of these souls didn't cross right away.
Right.
I don't feel a lot of active right here in this space, active spirit stuff. I do in the nursing home.
Wow.
100%. Like, I mean, there's a dead guy waving at me. Like he's waving away, and he's telling me he's only been gone the last 10 years, and that he's grateful that his family came to visit, and his name is Walter, and he's wearing a little bow tie, and he's cute as a button, waving away. So it's kind of interesting, the spirit activity. It's really blended here, but I'm so pulled to know if there's spirit activity in that building, in that mall.
Go into there.
We could. I'm feeling like there's graves underneath there. So I don't feel this is it. I feel like and even across the street, like I'm pushed out of this area quite a bit. I really am pushed out of the area. I also feel that there was a large number of people who were either hiding from the law, or were hiding, like if they came here. I don't know much about that time frame as far as how people got immigrated here.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's some hiding, and there's some secrets on where I am and who I am. And I felt that even though this was a place to come for safety or for refugees, it definitely was not always that way.
Right.
I feel like there was a lot of mistreatment of people.
Right.
And a prison guard just showed up right beside that tree. He's dead, but
Okay, good.
not a prison, but he's wearing a guard outfit,
Right.
but he feels very prison-like, even though they weren't prisoners.
Right.
It has that real old. If you don't, like, it feels really old and violent to me. Like
Right.
that violent attacks, abusive. He's got that energy for me.
So what would his role have been then, from what you gather? The guard, I mean.
I feel that it was like a big abuse of power. Yes, I get when we have people like large numbers of people congregating together. I get that there's some kind of orderly system,
Right.
or police system. But he's showing me that he took advantage of abuse of power. Like I'm seeing some really dark things with taking women somewhere and doing
Wow.
nice things. Like there was a whole dark side of him. He's just kind of, wish you could see him, he's just kind of against that tree with that energy about
Right.
him. And I also feel that he does try and keep order around here because he's kind of checking us out with causing trouble.
Yeah.
But that's the feeling with him. I have to go back to this doctor
Right.
because I find him fascinating because he's walking up and down with a medical bag with like really rustic looking
Yeah.
medical equipment, and you know he is claiming I did the best that I could with what I had.
Right.
However, basic needs were not met if they found out you were sick or dying. So quite often people who were ill here didn't tell anybody, and that's why there were spreads. Because if you were sick, there wasn't food for you. If you were like, they didn't want to treat you, and if they knew you were sick, it's because you weren't of a higher class or you didn't have money to pay for it.
Right.
It was withheld.
So it's almost as though they didn't care for the weak.
They didn't care for the weak. And what's
Wow.
really interesting is this doctor has asked me an interesting question is when you kind of look at where we are overall today, there's still a little bit of that because he's like saying, don't judge kind of what we did because in a lot of ways you treat your own societies and current times with that. You know, your
Right.
homeless are looked at as the weak. They don't deserve. You know, like people who are of a different class don't get. Like he's
Yeah.
like, be careful how much you judge how it was because not that I'm judging them, but he's a little bit defensive with me. Like he's got that defense feeling to him, like
Could be guilt as well.
Yeah.
In guilt and in shame, it's like you deflect it, right?
deflect
Like you're
it.
no better than we
Yeah.
were.
yeah, he's not
Yeah.
quite to that, but he's just like, take a look at how have we really changed? And I kind of got that question mark going on in my own head right now. You know, I drove by a few homeless people to get here today.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't stop at every one and give, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's that, it just kind of raises that, you know, that little thought in your own mind. I really am pulled to walk over there.
Should we head over this way then and see what
Yeah.
you
Let's
sense
go.
along the way there?
The energy shifts right about here to me. Literally. There's literally like I don't want to, it's like a divide. Energy divide, it changes literally when I step here. It's like there's just the end of either the property at one time or where people were buried because I can literally feel it. Heavy, not so heavy.
Interesting.
Yeah. It literally feels like that. But I do feel that underneath this concrete and underneath this part of the building that way, definitely the extension of those graves.
Wow.
I also am hearing that some of these graves on that side, people claim them. I'm hearing a lady named Mary whose family came to get her after she was buried.
Right. Oh, so they would come and get the bodies back to bury them properly?
Not very many, she's telling me though.
Oh.
But she's telling me that she got claimed
Interesting.
and she was brought back up. But the bodies here, most of them are people where family was unknown.
right.
Their identities, even their identities. Like I'm just seeing, like I'm hearing and seeing a lot of first names.
Right.
Where that's all they were known as. They were known as Charles. They were known as, you know.
Like if it was us, I'd be just Haley.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, and some of them didn't even have a number associated with them. Some of them are showing me their numbers, that there were numbers associated with them
right.
as ID. I also have a man claiming to be from France.
That's interesting.
That France was his origin. That's very interesting.
Are a lot of them crossed on, or are a lot of them stuck here?
I don't feel any of them stuck here. I don't feel that I need to open a portal or ask anybody to go. I don't feel that at all. I feel that there's a lot of closure. But what I'm hearing a lot of is there's no memory of me.
Right.
There's no
That's so sad.
it is. It just feels like that. It feels like, you know, the forgotten. And when I think about it, because I'm thinking about, do I know my ancestors from like 100 years ago? I don't.
No, me either.
Right? But, you know, do I know where they're buried? Some of them. But there's no honor, and that's kind of what the sadness is. And this doctor's following me. Like, he's like following me around. in a good way, because he's still with, I did my best. I need you to know with what I had, I did my best. I did my best.
Is he looking for, sorry, not to interrupt you, but is he looking for some sort of validation, or is he just feeling so much shame for what happened that he's projecting it to you to hope for your acceptance of it? Like, what's the vibe that you're feeling in him repeating that to you?
I feel, number one, it's a voice.
Right.
Spirit has been on me for a long time. Like, you and I talked about this,
Yeah.
about their voice and what happened here.
Right.
So for probably the first time, he's being able to speak to someone from the physical world,
Right.
from the spirit dimensions,
Right.
and he's really on me that, I did my best. I did my best with what I had, and it
Right.
wasn't always good, but I did my best with what I had. He's really pushing that,
Right.
like, and I feel it. Like, I can feel his passion.
Right.
I can feel his sincerity. Is there guilt? Yeah, probably a bit of guilt in that, but I also feel it's more of, I did my best, because that's what he keeps saying over and over again.
Right.
Following us over here.
Interesting. Has he crossed on?
I feel he's crossed on, but I feel like he's here a lot.
Right.
But I feel he can go back over. Like, I feel he knows the way over.
Right.
I don't feel
It's a choice.
It's choice.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's what I find fascinating about spirit, is the fact that there are instances where they're just choosing to stay. I think with people, they assume so often that every haunting is because a ghost is trapped here or their soul has not been able to cross on. But in this instance, despite his past, he's still here because he chooses to be. And that's interesting. Sorry.
I'm also hearing that he didn't complete his soul. He was telling me his soul didn't complete those lessons.
Right.
Didn't completely finish that job that he was here to do. And part of him's doing that work now, even as a spirit. And we do some of our soul work and our spirit work as a ghost or a spirit.
That's interesting.
It is interesting, because the soul's journey doesn't end when we pass. We still
Right.
have learning. Like, Spirit has shown me, we go to school up there. We're not done. So, but I feel, and he's showing me, yeah, he can go when he wants, but he still has a lot of lessons to learn.
Fascinating. It's almost as though he's able to continue on in that home with those who are living out kind of what he did when he was here in a different way.
Yeah. And are there spirits that are stuck here? Yeah, there are. There are 100%. There are hauntings, and there are spirits that aren't very happy, and there are spirits that can't find their way. And you and I have had those conversations before. 100%. I'm not feeling any of that here. I feel more, this is what happened. Somebody acknowledge me. I mean, they pour concrete on some of us, right? It's kind of that feeling here. The nursing home people are hilarious because they're calling me back.
Now they're like, they want you over there instead of here.
They're calling me back.
Fascinating. Do they communicate with one another?
Yes.
They do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting to me. In how they're living here. I think that the thing that makes me the most sad is somebody feeling as though their legacy hasn't been carried on, and that there was no celebration of who they were. Like, for me, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes and imagine what it would be like to die tomorrow and have someone just bury me, pour concrete over top of me, and never acknowledge me again. In that that's sad. I can understand why people might presume it as a haunting, because they're trying to make their presence known.
Yeah. They're very trying to make their presence known. And I've had spirit do some interesting things to me, grab me, like holler in my ear, and there were times I was like, why are you so aggressive? And it was just like, I need help.
Yeah.
Right? I need help, and nobody's listening.
Yeah.
But there is the other side to that as well, where there are spirits, like I said, that haven't crossed and do need help, and some of them refuse.
Interesting. That's fascinating.